You know, Chucky doesn't quite get the level of respect that Freddy, Michael, and Jason get, but there's one thing that Chucky accomplished that we will all thank him for forever. Yeah! I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion, bitch! So Child's Play 2 tells the story yet again of the demented killer doll Chucky pursuing Andy Barclay, wanting to put his soul into Andy Barclay's body. And Andy Barclay's a little bit older, a little bit wiser, a little bit more ready to fight, and once again surrounded by a bunch of people who do not believe him when he tells them Chucky did it. You know, people, there are very few instances in the cinematic world when the sequel eclipses everything that the original film did. This is one of those times. Child's Play 2 is not only one of my favorite installments to this franchise, it's one of the greatest horror sequels of all time. You will very often hear people name Child's Play 2 as not only one of their favorite sequels, but their favorite Chucky movie by far. Is it my favorite Chucky movie? Gonna have to wait for my ranking video to tell that answer or not. But I will say that I love pretty much everything that they do in this movie.
This is it, world. From now on, no more Mr. Good Guy.
Right from the beginning of this movie, from the opening scene, it lets you know that you are in for one hell of a thrill ride. And surprisingly, in a really cool story direction, they dive right into the fallout of the actual toy company that makes the Good Guy dolls. The movie starts, the toy company that makes the Good Guy dolls gets the charred carcass of the Chucky doll from the original movie. They remove all the charred plastic, get the thing back to factory in hopes of relaunching the Good Guy doll toy line. And basically, to get rid of all the negative PR, they wanted that cursed doll to make sure that everything was good. There was nothing weird with it. No voice boxes with anything talking about Charles Lee Ray or anything. And as soon as they get the doll back to factory, people start dying. You get people who are electrocuted, all these weird accidents. And I'll tell you what, Chucky has one hell of a built-in reset switch. Probably more than any other horror icon. Chucky is the easiest and the most simple to explain his resurrection. Just rebuild the doll and Chucky is coming back. You don't need to spend any time with some weird resurrection scene. There's no dogs pissing out fire in this movie. No weird expositional explanation for why he can come back. Rebuild the doll, Chucky's back. We understand. Now we can move on with the movie. But the toy company's not the only ones with some negative fallout from the original Child's Play events. Andy Barclay, once again played by Alex Vincent, is back. His mother is gone. She's being looked at by doctors at a mental ward, probably for saying that her son was right and Chucky was in fact alive and trying to kill them. Where's Chris Sarandon in all this? Not really sure. We'll just ignore that for right now. But Alex Vincent is back, and you know what? His acting is much better in this sequel. He's a lot stronger, he's a lot more charismatic, he's a lot more believable, and all the tics that really annoyed me about the original movie are pretty much gone here. And not only that, I really like the spin that they have with his character where he's much more of a fighter this time around. He's tired of Chucky pursuing him, he's pissed about all the fallout with his mom being taken from him and him having to live in a foster care. He's done with Chucky, and I like that spin on his character where he's not just a victim, he's a fighter. That's always a really cool spin to put on your protagonist in a slasher movie. And you get a lot more depth from him in this as far as his fear and his hate for Chucky. You believe him when he's scared, and you really believe him when he's tired of Chucky's shit and he just wants that doll gone forever.
Surprise! Did you miss me, Andy? I sure missed you.
You also get some new characters in the mix. Andy is in foster care, and these two people come up, this couple, and they adopt him for the time being, and a very, very strange couple at that. I'm always baffled at how the hell these two people ever got married, because you got the foster father on one hand, who seems like the most intolerant, impatient asshole, and then you got the mom, who is like the most nurturing, nice, and understanding person in the world. Such a strange yin and a yang for a relationship, but interesting characters nonetheless. And what I really like about this setup and how they kind of progress the story from the first movie is that it kind of resets the stage for the style of the first movie, because yet again, Andy is in the middle of a home where people do not believe him that this fucking doll is coming after him. They have no reason to believe him. They actually think he's a little bit nuts. And it kind of raises the tension again, because if it was just the same characters from the first one, everybody knows Chucky's a killer. Everybody knows Chucky's alive. So from the very first time that Andy says, Chucky's here, everybody's going to lose their shit. It really resets the stage to kind of go over the same kinds of storyline from the first movie without making it feel like a retread. Because once again, Andy is in this middle of this situation where Chucky is after him, and everybody around him who can help him won't help him because they don't believe him. And even though they're not the villain of this movie, there's always something weird and uncomfortable about this foster situation in this movie. Not only is the couple really odd, especially with how intolerant the father is, but just the house and how strange everything is set up with all these antique little ceramic dolls and the way that the paint scheme and everything is. It just looks like this weird, disturbing, haunted house. And speaking of those foster parents, you might recognize the foster mother as Jenny Argett from An American Werewolf in London. So I'm always a fan whenever you dump a little bit of horror movie alumni into a horror movie. Never hurts to add people that we recognize. And the other new character you get is his pseudo foster sister Kyle, and Kyle is an awesome character. One of the coolest characters in the franchise, honestly.
Shut up and drive before I kick your fucking teeth in. You goddamn women drivers!
Because she's a really strong female character. She doesn't believe Andy, but she's also the one who so easily kind of comes around to this idea because she trusts him and she really has this bond with him as this kid who just feels like he is on his own. Like nobody is on his side, nobody's there to protect him, nobody is there to usher him along. She really resonates with that, really kind of pairs well with him. They have a really cool back and forth and a good relationship. And whenever inevitably they have to team up against Chucky in the second and third act of this movie, they are a great team. But the star of the show, the highlight of Child's Play 2, of course, yet again, is Brad Dourif as Chucky.
Don't give me that.
Amazing, isn't it?
And you know what? Child's Play 2, whether or not it's my favorite or not, you'll have to find out, but I will tell you this. This is my favorite Chucky in any of the Child's Play movies. He is totally on fire in this movie. They have cranked him up to 11. This is Chucky on steroids, fully unleashed, ready to wreak havoc on the screen. And it is glorious. Not only does the movie waste absolutely no time getting to Chucky, there's no mystery, no strange setup, no third act reveal where Chucky ends up actually being back. No, right away you get Chucky in his maniacal, evil little bastard self, and it's awesome. From the very first kill, you know this movie is here to put Chucky on top of the horror icon list.
Please leave me alone. Please.
You're dead.
Most of his best one-liners are in this movie. This is the movie that actually kind of created the Chucky laugh that was somewhat kind of touched on in the first movie, but this is when it really became iconic and synonymous with Chucky. That awesome, evil little fucking laugh that I love so much started in Child's Play 2. And you gotta give credit where credit is due. Brad Dourif, you are the fucking man. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If Brad Dourif is not playing Chucky, then that's not Chucky to me. This guy is synonymous with Chucky. And you can tell when watching this that Brad Dourif brought literally everything he had into Chucky in this movie. He was here to go for broke, and it totally makes this movie stand out amongst the franchise.
How's it hanging, Phil?
And speaking of Chucky Unleashed, I know I joked about it in the intro, but can we just have a moment to take in the fact that Chucky finally killed that bitch that is a bitch in every single movie.
You've been very naughty, Miss Kettlewell.
I don't use that word very often, but she is a bitch in every single movie. This movie, fucking Donnie Darko, No Country for Old Men, every time you see this woman, you cannot stand her. You want her to die in every movie she stars in, and Chucky finally delivers that upon us. Thank you, Chucky. We are forever indebted to you. Now, as far as some technical aspects of this movie that I really enjoy, I really like some of the camera work in this. There's a lot of really interesting and strangely eerie shots, especially regarding that house that I was already talking about that's so weird to me that these foster parents put these kids in. Like the shot whenever Chucky is standing at the bottom of the stairs and it slowly pans over this long staircase as Andy is hearing his bedtime story. Really eerie shot there. Some of the shots, like when Chucky is shoveling the dirt onto the broken Tommy doll, really cool shot. Everything in the third act is shot really well. A lot of great iconic camera work in this one. It really stands out to me as something that they really nailed in this sequel. And going along with camera work, there's actually one scene in this movie in particular that I never really appreciated too much growing up, but I really like it when I revisit this movie now as an adult because it's kind of a nod and a throwback and a play on some of the things they did in the first movie. In the first movie, you got a lot of POV shots whenever Chucky was about to kill somebody, like his arm reaching out and turning on the oven and the gas, and all you could see was Chucky's arm. Well, they have a scene like that towards the end of the second act here, whenever you see somebody pulling open a bunch of drawers in the kitchen looking for weapons, and you think it's Chucky, and it turns out to be Andy. It's a really cool way to pull the rug out from underneath Child's Play fans because they're expecting the unexpected, and then all of a sudden it's Andy, and you're like, oh man, that's pretty cool. A really cool little twist there. Very simple scene, but very cool to me. And I also really appreciate the score and the soundtrack to this movie because it has this really weird dichotomy of playful and creepy, which is kind of the theme of Child's Play if you really think about it, is playful and creepy. I mean, it's even in the name of the series, but the way that the score kind of complements all of that in this movie is really, really clever. Child's Play has never really been a series that's known for a score. Chucky doesn't really have a theme. There's not really this, underlying music that just kind of goes through every single movie that lets you know you're watching a Child's Play movie. But above any of the other movies, probably the soundtrack in this sticks out to me a little bit more because it really just complements the tones that they're going for with this story. But the biggest positive that I can give to this movie, the thing that it is known for, the thing that makes it stand out amongst the franchise, is that Child's Play 2 not only has one of the greatest third acts in the franchise, it has one of the greatest third acts in any horror movie ever. As soon as we get to the actual Play Toys toy factory, whenever there are all the good guy dolls surrounding you, you see the factory where they actually make the dolls, you see all these little conveyor belts and all this machinery and molten plastic and everything. Whenever we get to that scene in this movie, from then until the end credits, this movie goes for broke. It unleashes everything that it has at you. You've got Andy and Kyle taking on Chucky, and Chucky is out for blood. You get to the scene when finally, after 2 movies, Chucky has Andy where he wants him. He's finally got him on the ground. He does his "Ade Due Dumbala" little chant. The lightning strikes, the thunder is roaring. And it's too late. Chucky is stuck in this body forever. He is never getting out of it, and he's a little bit pissed off about that. Suddenly you have this super tense climax, this huge showdown, this chase where Chucky is going after these 2 people. He is going to kill Andy if it's the last fucking thing he ever does. And all of the set pieces, all the camera work, all of the set design, the way that they actually designed Chucky, his kind of deconstruction throughout this third act climax where he loses his hand and replaces it with a knife, which is a little bit of an Evil Dead 2 reference. Then he loses his legs, then he gets covered in molten plastic. Everything that they do to Chucky in this third act is not stopping him 1 second. He is going to kill Andy Barclay, and it's one of the coolest third acts, one of the coolest climaxes to any horror movie that I've ever seen. It's the best part of this movie. It's what I look forward to whenever I put the Blu-ray or the DVD in. It's the thing that I constantly want to get to. Even though I love the whole movie, that third act is where it is at. It is the shit, and it's the best part of this entire sequel. But with all that being said, guys, even though there's so many things I love about this movie, so many things that they absolutely nail in spades in Child's Play 2, the negatives are non-existent. I don't have any. I can't think of any. I'd rack my brain for minutes on end trying to think of any little thing I could nitpick about this movie, and there's honestly nothing I would change about it. I think it's a perfect sequel. It's a perfect Child's Play movie. It's a perfect slasher. Nothing can be improved. Nothing could be swapped out or changed or exchanged for something better. I think this movie is flawless for what it sets out to do. And with that gigantic commendation, there's really not a whole lot else to say. This movie is awesome. You should definitely check it out. It is among the best of the Child's Play franchise. Possibly my favorite. Again, you'll have to wait to find out, but definitely one of the greatest sequels and one of the greatest slashers that I have ever seen in my lifetime. So if you're a slasher fan, or if you're a fan of the Child's Play series, especially if you're a fan of the first movie and you're looking to expand your knowledge of Chucky and his evil doings, definitely go out and buy it. So what do you guys think of Child's Play 2? Are you as much of a fan of this movie as I am? Do you feel like it improves on everything that the first one set out to do? Or do you feel like there's some elements of that first movie that you actually prefer to this sequel? Put all of your thoughts on Child's Play 2 down in the comment section below, and we'll talk about it. And keep your eyes peeled for the rest of this Child's Play review series. I'll have Child's Play 3 coming out very soon, as well as the rest of my Texas Chainsaw review series, which I'll also be having Texas Chainsaw 3 Leatherface coming very soon. So keep an eye out for all of that, guys. Please like and share this video. If you're not already a subscriber, be sure you hit that subscribe button so you can check out all of that awesome content that is coming your way. If you want to check out some of my social media links, I've got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter down below, including the link to my Patreon page, which is a great way to support this channel and a great way to get a lot of cool exclusive content for your eyes only if you decide to be a patron of mine. I appreciate it very much. So go ahead and check all of that out, guys. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, including the rest of this Child's Play review series, you can check that out by clicking right over here.